Hi, welcome back. I'm Katie.
And I'm Dr. Stanley from the Smile Center.
Today we're going over some of your frequently asked dental questions. So Dr. Stanley, why should people get their silver fillings replaced?
It's a great question, and there's several different answers probably to this question, and it's going to depend on the patient and the dentist. In most cases, we're not really worried about the metal itself being an issue, even though there's mercury and there's silver in it. When those two things are combined, they become their own material. Okay. Much like if you take hydrogen and oxygen, you take those two things together, they become water. And we're not worried about water in most cases. So when we look at a tooth, my concern generally when I see a metal filling in the tooth is, are there cracks in the tooth? Because if a tooth has a cavity and we fill it with a metal filling, the tooth essentially still has a hole in the tooth. And we might as well stuff a dish rag in there from a strength standpoint. So in most cases, I would like to put a filling material in there that's going to make the tooth strong again and not leave it just with a hole in the middle of it. Most of the time when I look at a tooth with a metal filling in it, particularly if we're looking at the back teeth, the molars, we'll see multiple fractures in those teeth. So fracture lines, like 5, 6, 7 fracture lines in those teeth.
Oh, wow.
If those fractures go down the tooth, then the tooth will split in half and the patient will lose their tooth. So that is generally my personal concern when I see metal fillings is, am I going to be able to keep this tooth for a lifetime?
Okay.
So when I see a tooth with a metal filling, in most cases I'm going to evaluate that tooth. I'm going to evaluate how many fracture lines are in there. I may have to take the metal filling out to establish how bad those fracture lines are. Mm-hmm. And certainly if the crack goes from one end of the tooth to the other, I'm going to recommend that we do something to cover that tooth up and hold it together to keep that tooth from splitting. Okay. So in most cases, that's going to be something like a crown. So that's the big concern in my mind with having metal fillings. We have beautiful materials nowadays that are tooth colored or gold materials. They're also very long lasting and very durable for the tooth. So in most cases, a conventional metal filling like we were brought up with back in the 50s and 60s is not my way to go with those teeth.
Okay, thank you for that.
You're welcome.